1079 CDY, it is Cadillac's hit music station. I am Rich Spicer, and we're going to pause the music for just about 30 minutes here for Cadillac Unscripted, which is sponsored by Marianne Quist of Remax Central, as well as Independent Bank. And one of our sponsors is here today.
We've got her in the studio.
And Katy, I got to tell you, we actually had a show in the can.
We did.
About real estate. We did it back in March, just before the world went kablooey.
Yes.
And so much has changed since March. We had to bring the ladies back in to talk about what's different now.
Right. I mean, the housing market has changed drastically, and the rules and how these professionals and how they operate in their world has completely been turned upside down.
So we're going to spend the next 30 minutes talking about why you should be considering selling if you've even had a thought about it.
Absolutely. So let's start with that.
Okay.
Amy and Marianne, if I'm out there and I'm listening this morning and I'm thinking about putting my house on the market, what would you tell me?
I would tell you right now, you're going to get more for your home than probably in a very, very long time.
Is that we're at a peak?
We're definitely at a peak, and a lot of that is it's the demand. Our supply is low, but the demand is still high. Plus, not to mention, we also had 2.5 months where we weren't showing homes, so some of that is kind of pent up demand as well.
Sure. So question, during that time when you were banned, I mean, you couldn't go out and do your job. There were fines and sanctions and this type of thing. Were your buyers still in touch, and were sellers contacting you saying, when we roll out of this, I'm getting ready to list? Was that stuff still happening?
I think the buyers were definitely contacting us. The sellers were a little more leery, I believe.
Okay.
I personally didn't have any more sellers contacting me, but I had a lot of buyers, and they were very anxious, and they still wanted to see it, and they said they would see it anyway, and I'm like, I can't show it to you. And there was several agents in our office that actually wrote offers sight unseen.
Unbelievable. I'm going to buy a house that I haven't seen, Rich.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. It really is.
Okay, and so when we get into this, supply is low and demand is high, are you seeing multiple offers when listings you are? Okay.
Yeah, anything, I was going to say, from the very low dollar range to at least up to maybe $250. If it's priced correctly, we're getting multiple offers.
Unbelievable. So I think setting expectation then for folks to say, if you're thinking you want to sell and you put it on the market, be ready to sell it. Be ready to move.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Okay.
Can you tell us that you're a seller preparing to put your house on the market, and everybody has different standards on how they keep their house. What advice do you give sellers?
The number one thing I tell sellers is clean.
Okay.
Clean. And then declutter.
Okay.
And what that means is making room in your closets, making room on your kitchen countertop. You don't need to have every gadget known to man on the kitchen countertop. Just the bare necessities. And the less there is on flat surfaces or in closets, things like that, the bigger it looks and the cleaner it looks.
Yeah, less is more right now.
Right.
And with that, we also we have to move into, once they do put their home on the market, things are a little different maybe than they used to be, even as far as the cleanliness goes. We ask the sellers if they live in the home, if it's not a vacant home, to kind of go the extra mile on the cleaning, sanitizing. If they're actually able to turn all the lights on and open doors before somebody gets to their house for a showing, that's less touching that
sure. That
that
makes
people
sense.
have to do. And I don't know if you want to get into that yet, but some of the other things that we have to do is we encourage the mask wearing.
Absolutely.
And I keep a little spray bottle of Lysol for doorknobs.
Oh, sure.
And then we all sanitize hands before we go in, and we sanitize hands when we come out.
Right.
So it's a lot of different procedure than what was happening before.
Let's talk about requirements from the Michigan Association of Realtors, documentation, that kind of thing. I mean, what changes have you seen there when you bring in buyers and when you're listing? You've got additional documents now.
Yes, we definitely, when you have a buyer going in, they have to sign a release. It's called a COVID-19 release. It's basically a little mini health questionnaire, and then saying that they're not feeling ill, and that they don't hold the seller responsible if they do contract anything, or they don't hold the realtors responsible, just because of the risks that are out there.
So it's a twofold thing. It's first and foremost, it's a safety thing. We want to make sure that we're protecting all the clients involved, as well as ourselves. But also it's a liability thing for us too. And it was one of the things that Michigan Association of Realtors kind of put in place to allow the governor to release us to go back to work.
Okay, so what happened was there was a hard and fast, no one's showing houses, and then the Michigan Association of Realtors had to lobby and explain how they'd rewrite the rules to keep people safe?
Yep, exactly.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. Are sellers skittish?
There are a few sellers that I personally had that said they're probably going to wait a whole year to put their home on the market because... and they were, granted, both people that I would say are maybe in a little more of the high risk for the COVID. But a lot of activity is just still humming along.
Okay. Like you said, the pent-up buyers. What do you tell a buyer that, they keep making offers on houses and they keep getting beat out? Stay with it?
Yep, right. Just hang in there. We'll get one.
Okay.
And, sometimes there's a lot of variables that get involved. If there's multiple offers, they can't go any higher. Sometimes the type of loan they have might not be as attractive as another type of loan. So we just have to, give them a good pep talk and tell them to hang with it, and we'll get them one.
My new record the last month was 8 offers with one set of buyers before they finally got one. So
oh my goodness,
that's
can you imagine how frustrated you'd be? You make offers on 8 different houses, you don't get any of them, Rich? How are you feeling?
You were getting very frustrated,
yes.
Probably a little bit dejected after that. Yeah.
Wow.
But some people's situation is where they must make a change. So
I see.
Especially, so they're going to keep trying.
Mm-hmm. You said something interesting, Marianne, when we were chatting, just that some folks have said, does this feel like a recession? And you're saying, in terms of strength of housing and sellers' ability to get top dollar for their home, this isn't feeling that way to you.
No, and a lot of housing polls that we have seen and that really keep track of this stuff. It was interesting to read that the difference in what people's opinions were, up versus down, it was so minute that, they're almost saying that, COVID didn't really affect us, as far as, prices go. And we're still in that same low inventory that we had beforehand. So they say the next year is going to continue like this.
Very good. So what did you ladies do for that 60 days, whatever? I mean, professionally, you couldn't go out and show people houses and list houses, which is what you do. So how did your workday change?
Well, it stayed at home. That was a big change.
Right.
You do a lot of networking, advertising, mailers, just trying to prepare for when you get to go back.
I see.
And we still kept in contact with a lot of our clients. We touched base. To be honest, there were buyers that were calling and really didn't understand the fact that we weren't allowed to show them a house. I mean, we were still getting calls from people during the shutdown that were parked in front of one of our listings, and they're like, yeah, we want to see it. I'm really, really sorry. We would love to show it to you, but, we can't. And it was really something where, too, it could affect our license. Mm-hmm. And professionally, we weren't going to cross a line. But honestly, keeping in touch with people and getting things done that realtors kind of put on the back burner sometimes, as far as our organization. People don't realize maybe how much goes into a contact manager, updating all kinds of things that when we're busy running around showing and listing, we don't get to.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the work that it's, like you say, the back burner. It's not the fun work either. The
Right.
exciting part of what you do is selling houses.
Exactly.
How many agents do you have that are on your team, Marianne?
Let's see, there's 20 of us.
Oh my goodness. So
our
was that
office.
group of people in communication? Because you do like a staff meeting, correct?
Yeah, we did. Obviously, what everybody was doing, Zoom,
Right.
was the one thing. And I think one of the hardest things for me as an owner is to keep morale up, because not that I had the answers, but just that we knew this was a temporary thing.
Right.
And I think everybody was searching for what's truth and what the answers were, and I think we did see that help, that they were trying to provide people that were not working monetary help. Several people had difficulty because these are self-employed agents, are self-employed. They're not just signing up for unemployment. But when the government made that a possibility, it was still hard to figure out for those people that are self-employed.
Right. And they need cash flow to pay their bills.
That's right. I mean, when everything halts, and it was also difficult for us, Katy, because we were the only aspect in the housing market that was kind of left out as far as what takes place in a transaction. We were non-essential, but as you got to stay essential, which
Yes.
was great. So
Weren't inspections still considered essential too?
they weren't in the very beginning, but then they opened that up for inspectors to be essential.
And did that come before realtors? Or
yes.
Was that at the same time?
No, it came before realtors.
And the reason why I mention that is because we just refinanced, and the inspectors came in, and they were all wearing their little surgical stockings, and just as if they were in a surgery room. And it was surprising to me that in the middle of this, they were still considered essential. It was surprising to me.
Yeah, there was, lenders, title companies, inspectors, and appraisers were all allowed to continue to work. And so there was a lot of crazy things that people were trying to make happen, and we couldn't accompany them to the home. So there's so many variables that could cause a problem with. People still wanted to write deals. So we actually wrote several deals where the people didn't see the home, but then they were allowed to accompany the inspector for the property inspection into the home. And so that sort of was almost like their showing as well.
Even though the inspector really isn't a shower.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And
or
as
trained to do that.
Right.
Exactly. As a broker, I wasn't very comfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have your clients going on both sides. The seller wants you to bring people and sell their house, and the buyer that is in the need of a move. So we were put in a very, very tough spot.
You brought up something, Marianne, that I hadn't thought of. I mean, some people, they're moving. They're getting a new job. They can't live in the hotel. They've got kids. They've got dogs. They need a house. And then that creates this sense of urgency. There's a title company, when you mentioned title companies remaining essential in Frankfurt, that they had their people closing in their cars. So I drove up there with some documents on something I was working on, and the families all in the car eating ice cream in their minivan, and the title agent standing outside of the minivan door going, "This is a certificate of occupancy." It's just so fascinating. I'm going, I've never seen this before. I've been doing this a
Then
long
you'd hate to have a windstorm come up and all those papers blow all over the place, because that's a big stack of papers you got to sign.
It sure is.
We definitely did figure out how to accomplish a lot. I think, if I think about 10 years ago, we would not have been able to do what we did during this shutdown 10 years ago, because now with electronic signature,
Sure.
that we were able to keep some deals that were already on the table going.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a lot of remarkable things. I think we all learned how to do things a little different, and maybe even safer in general.
So what will continue post-COVID that was initiated during this time that might continue?
I think the cleaning and sanitizing and having sellers do more as far as prepping the house, as far as opening doors and turning on lights, and you never really thought about it before, about a buyer touching things. Now it's like, don't touch anything. I tell them before we go in, don't touch anything. I'll touch if you want something opened or closed or on or off, let me know and I'll do it. Because you don't want them touching surfaces. So, and if you think about it, that's not a horrible idea.
No.
I mean, it's no matter what's going on in the world, that's not a horrible idea. So I think we're all going to do our job a lot more sanitary and think about the spread of anything, whether it's the flu or anything. So I think that will definitely stick with us. I'm personally going to wear a mask until COVID's gone. So I'll be wearing a mask for quite a while, I think. And my buyers and sellers will also be wearing masks when we have any kind of transactions. So those will definitely stick.
So what Marianne said about, okay, so you're telling your buyers don't touch anything. And she's telling her listers, her sellers, have everything open, which means have everything clean, have everything looking nice, but have everything open so that nobody does have to touch anything.
Right.
It's a paradigm shift.
Right.
Yeah, and in some cases, sellers work. They're not going to be able to, before every showing, take care of some of those things. So that is usually when we step up and we go to the showing early.
Okay.
We've sanitized our own hands and, have prepared. And then we can go also ahead and turn on those lights and open those doors and get everything ready. And then once the buyer leaves, we take care of things. So we want the seller to do as much as they can, but sometimes it does fall on us because of their circumstances.
How do you people who are coming up from downstate, how are we going to manage that? And I think you guys are going to see more second homeowners because I don't think people want to be in metropolitan areas in close proximity to other large groups. I think folks are going to say, I want my 2 acres, 5 acres. I want my space because space means safety. I think it's coming.
Oh, I totally agree. Okay. I mean, if you looked at the maps and you see thousands of cases downstate as opposed to 15 to 20 in a county like ours, where people are more spread out, that's definitely going to happen.
And in showing houses, I mean, I've already had buyers say that to me. We were thinking about moving up north, but you know what? This just pushed it a lot quicker. And again, so that's why it's a real good time if you are planning to move, get it on the market.
How long, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but how long can something like this last? We haven't seen this in a long time where, I think it was 2006 when things were selling for top dollar.
Oh, boy. I mean, honestly, they're already saying we're expecting another full year of low inventory. So I don't see how it could change. I mean, the interest rates are great.
They are.
So it's great for a buyer in that sense, and it's good for the seller, and they're going to get more now with that low inventory.
And the other thing that happened in this is construction was shut down for like 5 weeks or whatever that was. So if you had a builder looking at specs or somebody getting it, that didn't happen, which means there's even less housing because construction. I mean, how many houses didn't get built in that time?
I was wiping my brow that we were done with ours.
Yes. I mean, one of my builders that I do a lot of work with said to me, some lumber yards had reciprocity with one another. So, okay, we're out of nails, ship me yours. We're out of 2x4s, ship me yours, or this many. He said, no more because of this. So he said, that's getting dicey too. And then, of course, young laborers didn't have childcare. So now what are they going to do? And so folks not showing up on the job. And it was just everybody, I think, was juggling during this time.
We will continue our conversation with Amy Woodworth and Marianne Quist, Remax Realtors, coming up on 107.9 CDY. This is Cadillac Unscripted. Buying a home is still the great American dream. And yes, it can be an intimidating process. But you can rest assured and have confidence when the professionals from Remax Central are in your corner to guide you through it. Marianne Quist of Remax Central has helped hundreds of home buyers in and around the Cadillac area navigate the process over the years, and she's ready to help you too. From start to finish, from finding a home to submitting an offer, to understanding the purchase agreement, to inspections, surveys, and appraisals, to the time when you finally sit down and sign those closing documents, Marianne will be there. When you're ready to buy, talk to Marianne Quist at Remax Central. See her listings at teamquist.com. We continue now with our conversation with Amy Woodworth and Marianne Quist, local realtors from Remax. It's Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY. So for folks who bought their house, say 2008, 2009, 2010, when the values were at their lowest.
They can make some money, Rich.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. Take your average house that sold for X number of dollars 11 years ago. How much percentage-wise has that gone up on average in the last 10 or 11 years? Because there are people out there who are sitting on a very, very valuable piece of property, and they may not even know it.
Well, I can tell you of two examples. One right now that the people bought in 2009, they are getting double what they paid for it in 2009.
Unbelievable.
And one, I would say maybe a 30% increase. I mean, it's not going to be the same with all. Depends on the one case where they're getting double. They bought it as a repo back then.
Right.
Did some work to it.
Yep.
And, okay.
Yep.
That's exactly what we did. We bought in 2010. And when it just recently appraised at almost twice what we paid for it. We gave the house a lot of TLC during that time, but it's just amazing, and it really outlines the value of home ownership.
Yes.
You know, you buy a car, it
Emphasizes.
depreciates the moment you drive it off the lot. You buy a home,
Yeah.
up it goes. Yeah.
Yep.
Boy, so what's the answer to the inventory issue?
Boy, that's a toughie.
Everyone listening, call us. We want to list your homes.
Well, there it is. No.
Well, you know, it's funny, but back in the previous recession, when there were a lot more investors then, and it seemed like we've been seeing a few of those come back.
Okay.
Investors making purchases, doing the necessary fixes to just put them on the market. We've been seeing some of that now. Obviously, we just talked about it a little. We're seeing some building come back. And to me, that's really exciting. I needed some concrete bids like 3-4 weeks ago, and two of the contractors we had out said that, they already have so many jobs that they're supposed to have done by July. And
Wow,
to
sure.
me, that's exciting because that's going to help our inventory, because more than likely those people building are going to be selling other homes. So
Good point. They say the strength of the economy can be directly linked to new builds. So when we see robust construction, that's a sign.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of houses being built around the Cadillac area. More maybe now than in the last 10 years. Yeah.
Very good. And so I'm happy to hear, call us and stuff, but Rich is right. Someone might not know what their place is worth, and you will come out and talk to them about that and give them a comparative market analysis. And sometimes I think people just don't know how it works. It's like, if you're really contemplating it, get a hold of an agent and get them out to the house and talk it through.
And maybe think about where you're at in your life. If you have a kid or a couple of kids who are leaving for college, leaving the nest, or going to be in the next couple of years, or if your family is growing, your situation changes. You need more square footage, less square footage. It really is the time to think about the situation you're in, what you're living in, how much it's worth.
Right. And we all go through phases, don't we? And you and I both had kids graduate on Sunday. Yeah, Rich
We
and I
did.
both did. But then I've also got folks that I'm tired of snow removal. I'm tired of mowing the lawn. And that's a whole nother phase. Put me in a condo.
that's awesome. We got some of those to sell too.
They've got it all, Rich. These girls have got it all. I love it.
Hey, we've done everything but give their contact information out. We ought to do that.
Let's do it. How does everybody get a hold of you two?
Well, Amy Woodworth, Remax Central, and my phone number is 231-468-1023.
Marianne Quist with Team Quist. You can call me on my cell at 231-920-8507, or feel free to pop into one of our locations in downtown Cadillac, and we also have another office in Lake City.
Right. So if I'm getting ready to buy a house, what's realistic my wait time? I make an offer. I know sometimes sellers want more time because maybe someone's getting married or they're having a family reunion in their backyard, whatever. But what's realistic?
From offer or from acceptance?
From acceptance.
Okay. From acceptance, I think 45 days is still a good, reasonable timeline. Some sellers want 30 to 40 days, but most of the time you can negotiate and get into the house 45 days from acceptance of offer.
Okay. I know a buyer can say, I don't want an inspection. You have your appraisal, which determines your value to protect you. Your inspection, is there anything wrong with the house? What do you tell buyers that are thinking, I want to save that $350, $400, whatever it is. I don't want to pay that. What do you tell them?
I tell them it's a very bad idea not to get an inspection.
Okay.
That an inspection is really, it's not a fix-it list. It's a make yourself aware of what your house is.
Okay.
Good, bad, and indifferent, I suppose.
Eyes wide open.
Right. So that, there's 10 inches of insulation in the attic, and that's great. Or that the electrical has been updated or needs to be updated. Or there's just things that so many home buyers don't think of that an inspection will tell you. Again, it's not to talk you out of it. It's so that you're aware of. You're not going to move into a house and then have an inspector come and look at it. So do it during the buying process so that you know what may be coming up that you might need to fix or that you won't have to fix for 20 years because it just was done.
The furnace doesn't last forever, Rich.
It does not.
I think sometimes, too, people, need to understand that maybe if the inspection costs $300-$400, but then you move in and you find out you need to replace the furnace, and that's $5,000. That inspection cost would have been, more worth it. I mean, depending on the people's situation, sometimes when, there's an inspection, a seller doesn't even know that there's something going on or that's wrong, which is why they didn't, bring it up or disclose it. So sometimes then it becomes something where it can be negotiated so that it works for both parties. So it's definitely a very good idea to have an inspection.
Okay. So if I'm a buyer and I'm a little nervous, I need a house, but I'm a little nervous about COVID. What do you do to reassure your buyers that precautions have been taken? I mean, are you sending emails out before as you send the listings that you're going to show them, and then you tell them here's what's going to happen to protect you?
Yes, we go through kind of a checklist of what they should expect at showings and the precautions that we're taking and the precautions that they should take.
How many people, Amy, can come? I mean, sometimes people want to bring their mom and the dad and the grandpa and everybody to see the house. What's the rule on capacity of the number of people to come and look at the house?
Well, it has gone in stages. There were just immediate family or just two. Now, is there actually a restriction, Marianne?
They have removed the restriction.
Okay.
It was like a max of 4 people to be in the home at once.
Meaning this is the realtor and the buyers? Total
Correct.
of 4, okay.
Yes. And so that could make it difficult if you have kids or whatever. So we just discuss it all ahead of time so that they can make the plans necessary. But yeah, the governor removed the limit. We still try to have a limit because COVID isn't gone.
Right.
Right. We try to discourage the entire family coming, or both sides of the parents, or both sides of the aunts and uncles, and all of the people that people want to see, until we have a house that they know they're going to get. Then we try to encourage the extras at that time.
I see. And so what do you tell your sellers to reassure them that they're walking back into a home and they're home and they can feel safe?
Well, I would still tell any sellers, have your sanitizer and wipe things back down, especially anything that somebody may touch. Because even though you tell them don't touch anything, they may still touch things.
Right.
And one thing we like to make sure our sellers know is we're making sure everybody is hand sanitizing before they even enter the premises. So they can have confidence that we're watching over to make sure that they're coming home to a safe home.
I really like the idea, Marianne, of sellers open up everything. Open the closets, open the oven, just have it all open, because it'll probably stay open then, and not everybody needs to touch it. That was really good.
Yeah.
What else, Captain?
I think that pretty much wraps it up for
Okay.
today. All right. We want to thank Marianne and Amy from Remax for coming in and talking about real estate. And we want to encourage you, if you're thinking about selling, give a realtor a call, especially one of these ladies here.
That's right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Rich and Katie.
Cadillac, you guys are welcome. Thanks for coming in and giving us a redo a few months later. We appreciate it. Cadillac Unscripted, sponsored by Marianne Quist of Remax Central, as well as Independent Bank. And same time, same station, 1 week from today, we'll bring you another Cadillac Unscripted on 107.9 CDY.